It's different from other construction projects, from food, from improving the area. A lot of cultural barriers will come down, a lot of religious barriers will come down. It provides them a totally different perspective.
As a medic, I'm trained in everything from veterinary, dental, trauma, life support. I have a local clinic where within 200 miles I may be the nearest thing to a doctor. We could diagnose all types of different diseases and be able to treat those.
He's doing a good job. And I really feel for your children. I have a lot of compassion for people that are hurt. I try to, I guess you could say, see with my heart, all right? And these people receive my very best.
We provide aid to your brothers, fathers, mothers, sisters, sons, daughters, livestock as well. We're just providing a service that goes well beyond anything that they've ever had in their lives.
After the first family member we treat, usually the next day they're back with their whole family and we're helping the family, and then the family goes out and tells their neighbors. And soon the word spreads that we're there to help. They trust you. They're giving you information because they feel like you're there to help them more than the people that are trying to fight against us.
And that's how we build that trust, and we build that peace to say, hey, Americans, they're not bad. What are all these guys talking about? And that's what it takes.
Winning the hearts and minds of the people through all these indirect actions that we do in countries, whether it be providing medical support, construction, providing veterinary support, teaching them how to read. We give them the ability to say, hey, the insurgents are killing us, using us as a propaganda tool, but they're not really giving us anything. Special Forces guys are here on the ground with us, living with us. They're eating our same food, and they are taking care of us.
Good to go.
This one is goes with the water, right?
Yes.
We are trainers, yes, and we do it well, better than anybody.
Teaching the locals mission planning, military skills. The benefits are that soon this Army will be self-sufficient. They will be able to defend themselves instead of having an American face on what's going on.
There's such a huge difference for a local villager to see that Afghan face. They realize, hey, you know, this guy is one of us.
We inherently go to fight and we plan on training our replacement. And that's what makes us different, leaving and having someone there that we train that can continue the fight.
Indigenous forces doing it on their own. That's the end state, is to be able for them to fight it on their own.
A safe, stable area that has people that we trained that now pull the job of the Army to secure that country.
Working with the indigenous people, you're just out there alone. And if you don't have the good rapport, the good training, and the ability to make the mission happen, it just doesn't work.
With Special Forces, there's a desire to do it. Generally speaking, conventional forces do not desire to train foreign forces. Most of the other special operations community does not. We as Special Forces soldiers do, and we realize that it is probably the most important thing we can do in the current conflict.
As an SF soldier, you interact on a very personal level in a lot of ways. You're training a guy, you're teaching a guy how to shoot, he's relating to you things about what he does on a daily basis, his family life and so on. SF guys become immersed in that culture because that is our job.
Learning to work with the different countries and the different armies is something that you really need. People who haven't done it just don't build that bond, but most indigenous forces don't respond to the drill sergeant mentality.
We become very familiar with the little nuances to training them. In between deployments, we do a lot of professional development ourselves, where we go to various schools to develop our skills.
An SF soldier is going to appreciate how important that is to understand who it is that he's working with, fighting alongside, talking to, training on a daily basis. It's difficult to put into words, but having done it, I can tell you that it's extremely important, and it's absolutely vital for what we're doing right now.
Special Forces, yes, needs to grow. The battalions need to grow. We need organic indirect fire assets, organic rotary wing assets, our own helicopter transportations.
Until we start to grow Special Forces or to change the doctrine to reflect the enemy that we're fighting, I don't think we're going to be as successful as we can be in the global war on terror. We start and trying to transform our thinking and not just our equipment.
After 9/11, there was a lot of talk about transformation, bringing up SF, because we have that capability of unconventional warfare. Essentially wrote the book on it.
Special Forces is more relevant than ever with the global war on terror. It's just the abilities of the ODA to get into these areas.
We need to combat the threat. We have to grow to meet the threat. We have to be proportionate to the threat.
To fight against terrorists or insurgents, you need to have a very reactive force that is able to adapt and learn, change quickly. Large organizations have a difficult time doing that.
We're able to move and turn quicker. Battleship turns, but it takes time. But a smaller boat will turn really quick. And that's where I think we bring to this fight. They're changing their tactics constantly, and it's easier for a small organization to adapt.
But the bottom line is unconventional warfare. There's already an infrastructure that exists that supports that, called United States Army Special Forces Command, who are truly the experts.
As we move forward into the 21st century, other countries understand they can't defeat our big army. So they're going to try to move around the battlefield in small elements. America needs SF to go to these wars because the enemy is fighting in an unconventional way. And the people that can fight with them is unconventional warfare trained soldiers, which is Special Forces.
We're a military organization that has a specific capability and capacity that is very qualified for this type of warfare, that is not being used to its maximum benefit.
Your name shows up on my list, man.
We need a strategy that is nested to get the effects that you need. So you're doing all these tactical operations, very decentralized, down to the lowest level of command. We need special forces officers commanding at levels in which we influence this war. There's got to be an overall counterinsurgency strategy. There's got to be a plan for special forces to be put in the places where they need to be to have maximum effectiveness in this war on terrorism.
Well, I think everyone's so pumped up about this high-tech warfare, just push a button, drop a bomb, the problem goes away. Well, not all the time, Sometimes you just caused a bigger problem by dropping that.
Obviously, launching cruise missiles and dropping bombs everywhere is not an effective way to combat terrorism. You have to put troops on the ground, and you have to give those guys the right resources.
Terrorism is spiking all over the world. Looking globally, it is spreading fast, and the need for more unconventional troops, special forces, is growing daily. Africa, everywhere in the Middle East where fundamentalism is just catching fire, there's going to be a need for more special forces.
Go in there with training, funds, and equipment. They can handle those problems in those countries where those terrorists are operating.
It's not going away. It's everywhere, and it's not going to go away. We need to be able to go into these countries and work with indigenous forces to quell these insurgent cells, these terrorist cells all over.
There are civilian leaders out there that do understand it. They know the right answer, because when they need an immediate answer, that's the answer they use. They sent in special forces.
The global war on terrorism, that's our greatest threat right now. We need to continue to build up special forces and establish policy that gives us the tools that we need.
Really see the fact that we are the most viable tool in executing the global war on terror.
Get unconventional forces, SF teams, at the forefront of this effort. That's the key right there. The political leadership is concerned with protecting the American people, protecting their own families, along with that, the families of every other American.
We need to rely on our civilian leadership to establish the strategic goals necessary for this long war and allow our generals to put together the best plan possible to achieve that.
Why would we only have one division, or less than a division equivalent, of unconventional warfare fighters? It just doesn't make sense. It's not that easy. So it takes time, it takes support at higher level to make this happen.
Nobody wants to see American soldiers die in combat. I've lost a half dozen good friends over there.
It's war. People are going to get shot. People are going to get killed.
not going to